What's up, everyone? This is Crazy Wolf 1197, and in this installment of my style, I will be talking about inking, using the pen tool here on Paint Tool SAI to redefine, or say better define, the final sketch, which is what you're looking at right now. So, yeah, let's start with that. Okay, so in inking, there's not really a whole lot to explain. It is basically what it sounds. I mean, just putting for me, I use the pen tool just over the sketch on the areas that I want defined. Like I said, there's not really that goes on a lot with it. Just pretty much it's all technique, or if you know some of the settings here on Paint Tool SAI, you can utilize those to get a better ink work done. So a few things that help. I'm going to use this pen right here. It's just standard. I haven't changed any of the settings, like the stability or whatever. Some of the things that would help is if you just had like a steady hand. See, I obviously don't really have that steady of a hand. Something you can do to help with that is sit here and do this. It's pretty much the only thing I can say. And, well, I don't do this very often, ever. As you can see, because this looks like royal crap. But if you're just sitting there doodling like this, whatever. It works. That's how you'd get smoother lines and ultimately to look better on the final piece. Now, what I use is this pen right here, another little slot, and this one I have adjusted its settings. So if you just double click on it right there, right here, stroke stabilizer, I have it set between S5 and S7. What the stabilizer does is it basically slows the pen down and smooths it out pretty much. So whereas it's not specified and I do that, looks like crap, right? No, I'm going to go back to S5. See how that already looks a little bit better? That's what the stabilizer does. And on this pen, that's what I have it set for. So you can just play around with the settings, kind of get the stability that works best for you. Not for everyone, but like it's all up to the artist. So just toy around with that, and or go the other way, just practice your strokes and get a better, more steady hand. I mean, my handwriting is terrible if you ever saw it. I mean, let me go back to this pen. About the right size. Here's my signature. Still looks like royal crap, but cool part about a signature, it doesn't have to be perfect. But yeah, anyway, now let's get on to setup. Alright, so now we're on to setup. First thing I do is I create a new layer. I do not put the final inking on over the sketch because that would just become too complicated for me. And I like to utilize the wand tool, which is this one right here, to do my coloring. So make a new layer, and to use the wand tool the way I do, I'll select over here selection source, which basically allows me to isolate any part that is connected in ink with the wand tool, which is very helpful for me in coloring. Alright, so we got the layer down, and brush size. I don't really like this big thing, and I don't really like my outline to show. All that gets covered up later with color. So I like to keep it as small as possible. I'll go down size-wise to about 5. I know you really can't see that, but it's good enough for me to get rid of the outline when I color. Because how I color it hides it easily. So, but as far as setup goes, that's pretty much it. And my outline, I always use black, which is anywhere on this bottom bar right here. I could use this greenish blue, but that looks like crap. So, go away. Now we will get on to inking the actual image. Woo! Alright, good news. We're on to actually inking the piece itself. Hooray! Really not a lot that goes into that one except just basically going over the lines. So on and so forth. I'm just going to adjust that a little bit. Now you will notice that not everything gets inked. Everything I do ink is something I'll put color to later, which is for the most part everything, but these little markings under her eyes, I may not do that. I may just throw that in when I'm actually coloring the head itself. As you can see, this little part right here, I've decided that I'm not going to do that. As I explained in my last video, I'll have my options available and just eliminate them in the inking process, or the line work, I believe, as I said it. So now we can finally start. Obviously, with the pixels being 300 pixels per minute, or what am I fucking doing? Pixels per inch. I can't speak. It being size 5, the pen, it's going to look really small, which I have relatively decent eyes anyway, so that's really going to be no problem. And some of the other things that I won't ink are this little defiance here where that part of the head and the horn meat pops out of the head. I won't put this. And I sometimes don't put these little things over the eyes. And for the eyes, I don't actually define the pupil and the iris separate. I draw the whole iris and I'll throw in the pupil from there in coloring. So that's pretty much all that. Now let's get started on fucking inking. Once again, forgive my mediocre film editing. I only just recently started doing this, so yeah, forgive me. This is not my strong suit. Alright, but anyway, now I'll actually start inking the fucking thing like I know you're waiting for me to do. Instead of, shut up, Carter. Yep. You'll notice me erasing a lot, or, Control Zing a lot, because if it doesn't look right, I'm very picky, in other words, as a lot of people probably are. But there's really nothing wrong with that. It's just a human trait. Go away. Every now and then I will stop and just see if that section that will be isolated later is in fact isolated. So it's always good to do. A lot like my sketching, I usually start with the eyes first. Usually, but it also kind of depends on what's going to overlap what. Such as this part of the snout and this part of the, say, the cheek. Since the cheek is underneath, I'll do that part, the snout first, and then the cheek, just for connection purposes. and ease. And for this video, I am gonna throw these in just because I can, and this is my video, and I know it may look like crap now, but I promise you, if you've seen my other work, once I throw in the color, it fixes itself. Shit. And please excuse the profanity. The internet's a very corruptive place. Then it doesn't help when I grew up in the military, so, you know, hey, it's a win-win for everybody, huh? Go around the nostrils. I'm not going to throw in the teeth because I didn't put that in the sketch, and there will be times where I will add stuff on the inking that wasn't in the sketch, but this is not going to be one of those times. I am sorry. But, you know, that is my process. Bite me. I am a cruel person. That's okay. We all are in some fashion or another. That looks like crap. That looks like crap. And you know what? Just because I can, I'm going to try and throw in the teeth here. Go to the pen tool or the wand, make sure, okay, teeth are highlighted. Fuck. See, in situations like that, that's where I'll use the zoom button a lot. Zumba! No. I know a guy that said that way too much. Alright, the tongue and that part of the mouth are now isolated. So, kind of happy I threw in the teeth already, even though that still looks like crap, but I'll fix that later in coloring. Like I say that a lot. Yay! Alright, zoom back out. Ugh. I just burped. I don't know if you could hear it. Alright. Time for the rest of this jaw here. And you will notice that I do kind of deviate from the exact path of the sketch. And that is because sometimes in the inking process it seems to look better for me. So, and this was one of those situations where it's just kind of slightly off, but looking at it now, you know, I'm starting to like it. I don't know if you're thinking the same, but, you know, hey, I don't really care. Alright, up here is one of those situations with the overlapping. This part of the head is on top of this one, so I'll do this first so that I can run this line all the way up from here and connect it to there. So just in case you cared about that. Throw in that part of the horn. And this long chain right here, this long line, this is where that stabilizer comes in, because like you saw, I have terrible handwriting. I do not have a very steady hand. So for a nice, what did I just do? For a nice long run like that, it'll help. Yeah, see, I messed it up. That's the only problem, though, is the rest of it may look good, but for me, is if one little thing gets messed up, the whole thing is scrapped. Well, it wasn't that far off anyway. Tight. Alright, let's just take a gander at how those look. Good, good, good. Alright, that's what I like to see. That helps me out significantly. So, back that off, go back to my pen tool. Now I do often throw in like a little line here to define where the nostrils are, but obviously that line won't stay there for coloring. Take a gander, see how that looks. Alright, I'm liking that. Alright. Usually this is pretty much how much I would ink. I'm not going to mark in where these are. I'll put those in when I'm coloring, because one, that helps me get all the shadows and shades right as a whole head. And since this whole part is isolated, I can just go from there, so that works out for me. Then what I do is I'll start doing the background stuff. At least this is going to be simple. I've drawn this little symbol many times already, and as you can see, I only kind of halved it. Now the stabilizer itself isn't perfect, as you can see. It's not really good for straight lines, but for this I'm not really going for the straightest of lines on the planet. I'm kind of giving it a little bit of character for its own sake, so that and its design is a little bit off. That's because I'm taking some creative license. And as you can see, it's not fully linked, so I have to go in here. Right there is the problem. There we go. Good, good. Alright. As of right now, the entire thing is nicely inked to my liking. I don't know how it looks to y'all, but this isn't a live stream, so you can't just tell me. So, yeah, I'm done with linking, and my next video will probably be normal. I'll actually start coloring. I generally like to start with the background first, and then start coloring the main parts, but I'll go into that deeper once I get there. So anyway, hope you liked this video. Hopefully it was instructive. I know I still suck at talking in a mic because I'm still getting used to it, but you know, oh well, practice makes perfect. Leave a comment down below, subscribe if you want. Visit my DeviantArt page, look at some of my art if you haven't seen it already. This image that we're working on will be on there eventually. So, yeah, all of y'all, it's 2 a.m. here in California. So, have a good night or a good morning wherever you're at. Peace!